Yes, please. Next talk is Moriguchi-san. The title is Developmental Origin of Consciousness Experience. Could you start your talk?
Yeah, okay. Thanks for introducing, and thanks for organizing this meeting for organizing team. Hoizumi-san, Yoto-san was the organizing member. Thanks so much. And actually, I have a little bit changed my title of the talk. I'm talking about the developmental origin of psychological structure. So actually, I'm a developmental psychologist, and my main research topic is not about consciousness, but I'm particularly interested in the psychological structure of infant and young children. So I'm talking about such kind of study in this talk. So first, I'm talking about the structure in developmental science or child psychology. I think you may know about this person, but this person is Jean Piaget, father of the developmental psychology. He wrote a book of structuralism where he proposed cognitive psychological structure, and such kind of structure change over the developments. Actually, I'm not talking about the detail of this his idea, but Piaget have proposed developmental changes in structure, psychological structure in children. Particularly, he proposed this is actually too simplified version of his idea, but he proposed a stage-like development in psychological structure. So, infant, young children may have no structure, and in the middle of childhood, like school-age kids, there might be some incomplete structure. Then adolescence and adulthood, there is a kind of a complete structure. Such kind of thing is proposed by Jean Piaget. Actually, there are several researchers criticize the idea of Jean Piaget, but there are several good point and a bad point in his theory. Good point is actually good point is about he proposed a dynamic change in structure. Actually, before Piaget, there is a Gestalt psychology where perception is it's examined that in Gestalt psychology structure is stable, so do not change. So structure actually implicitly represents stable, so no changes. But Piaget proposed dynamic changes in structure. So he suggested the psychological structure change over the development, as I said before, something like this. This is a really, really good point of his theory. And other good point is his theory is based on mathematical theory. So before Piaget, there is an anthropologist, Lévi-Strauss. Something wrong with me? Okay. So it's a structuralism, and such kind of Lévi-Strauss and Piaget, the theory is based on mathematical structural theory, like group theory. So such kind of mathematical theory is used to explain children's cognition or something like that. But there are several bad points in his theory. Many things is proposed to criticize Piaget's theory, but here one point is he integrates mathematical group and lattice theory. I'm not talking about the detail about this, but mathematically group theory and lattice theory does not coexist, but he integrates this both theories. So there might be something wrong with his explanation of children's psychological structure. The other bad thing is he only talk about logical reasoning. So this is just closed within this domain. So he cannot explain about like other domains such as emotion or like perception. So he just only talk about the logical reasoning. So such kind actually not particularly not talk about, but he focused on logical reasoning. So based on this kind of stuff, recently I and thanks to Tsuchiya-san and Saigo-san's help, we have analyzed the Piaget theory in terms of the category theory. This is just one attempt to explain Piaget theory from the perspective of category theory, but such kind of stuff we are doing. This is just a general introduction of structure in developmental science. And next, I'm talking about color Qualia. Perhaps many presenters talk about this color similarity task, so I do not have to talk about the detail of color similarity task, but briefly, we presented this task children age 5 to 12 years old. This is just a pilot study, so not the main study, but I'm introducing our pilot study of color similarity task. So we gave this task children age 5 to 12 years old, and the children are asked to evaluate whether two patch is similar or not similar in the 4-point scale. And the result is something like that. So this is a result of 5, 6-year-olds, 7, 9-year-old, and 10 to 12-year-old. As you see, generally, the structure is very similar to adults. So even in 5-year-old children, color Qualia structure is maybe, but this is just a pilot study, but this pilot study may suggest color Qualia structure can be generally similar to adults even in 5-year-olds. So this might be a little bit different from Piaget's theory, but we are not sure about infants and young children. So if in this Gakuju Tenkaku is accepted, we are doing some stuff about infant and young children. This is our general assumption. So this is actually there is a typical and atypical development, but I'm just talking about the typical development. Infants, perhaps actually in the past, infants may not have any cognitive perceptual ability, but research have shown that the infants have some cognitive perception ability. So we assume that even infants can have some kind of structure in terms of color Qualia. But over the development, their structure is more structuralized and relational. So maybe infant and young children structure is weak. Weak means, for example, if like this is kind of just a schematic image of adult color Qualia structure, but in adults there might be some relationship between red color of red and blue color of blue and the color of yellow. But this kind of this is just a schematic explanation. But in children, perhaps the relationship is like kind of weak, and infants maybe less relational. But there might be some kind of structure even in infants. That's the idea. So in Gakuju Tenkaku, we conducting the infant and young children, but young children, maybe we can use some kind of touch panel task to assess children's color Qualia structure, but I believe it's very not so difficult to assess such kind of stuff, but infants can be difficult. So here I'm talking about the infant study, our pilot study about the infants. I think you may know about the technique about how to assess infants' perception and cognition, but there are mainly two methods to examine infants' perception and cognitive ability. One is habituation and dishabituation technique. The other is preferential looking. I'm briefly explain this kind of method here. Actually, both method is really easy to understand, I think. But in the habituation, this habituation technique, infants are presented with two parts like this. So there are two blue parts. And infants are repeatedly presented with this kind of, color parts. So infants are habituated, too familiar with this kind of color patch. Then new test patch are presented. So one patch is the same as the habituation patch, and the other is different from the habituation patch. And we measure the looking time toward this each patch, like this patch, this patch. So we examine whether infants and looking time is different this patch from this patch from this patch. And actually, I'm not right now. I'm not doing any stuff about emotion Qualia, but yesterday, Hori-san have talked about developmental model of emotion experiences, and after that we will talk. The discussion topic in after my talk is about emotion Qualia. So I'm a little bit referring to the about the trends, emotion experience or something. So as Hori-san have a little bit talk about this kind of a developmental emotional experience. It's really, this is actually a classic model proposed by 100 years ago, actually. So from but still now not so dynamically changed from the previous model. But first, maybe in the past there might be some excitement. Then from the 2 or 3 months, there might be some differentiation into the negative and positive emotion. Then after 3 months, there are 6 or 5, 6 basic emotion like anger, disgust, fear, surprise, something. So this kind of model is still now accepted in the our field, in the child psychology field. But there might be other emotion recognition literature. So there are actually many studies examine the infant's recognition of other person's face or something. So infants can discriminate like happy face from the sad face. From the I guess from 3 or 4 months, the infants reliably discriminate the another person's facial expression. So there might be reliable evidence, but this kind of emotional experience are relatively too difficult to conduct. And I'm not sure this kind of stuff is reliable, more physiological measure. So actually this is our study of children, not infants, but we measure the like temperature of facial expression. And we actually, this is a situation where children feel some kind of shame, and their nasal temperature were a little bit changed compared to the control group where infants do not experience shame. Or this kind of physiological measure or behavioral measure or maybe neuroimaging measure is used to assess infants' emotional experience. But so far, I guess it's very difficult to assess emotional experience in infant and young children. And more importantly, actually, I have discussed with Hori-san yesterday, but most of the study examine only specific emotion, like just disgust or just like happy. So as far as I know, actually, I'm not searching in detail, but I guess research may not examine kind of a several type of emotion. So they may not, we cannot so far created some kind of a structure of emotional experiences. So maybe we should evaluate we should examine several type of emotional experience, and we can evaluate the similarity of the such kind of experience in a single study. So yeah, so this is my talk. Thanks for your attention.